Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 6-5 podcast. Daniel Newman here, back in the chair. This room doesn't look familiar if you're watching this on video. It's because I'm not in my normal spot. But then again, Pat, has there been a normal spot for the last, 22 weeks? It's felt like we've been on the road, on the road, on the road, on the road. But guess what? Next week, no travel that I'm aware of yet. Nothing's come up. I'm going to be home all week long. Couldn't be happier. How are you doing, my friend?
Betsy, it's great to be back in the seat. We were gone all week, Monday through Thursday, hitting Discover, hitting Pure Storage Accelerate. I am glad to be back. I got a great night of sleep. Didn't sleep too well in Las Vegas. You know, it's really important to get that circadian rhythm anytime you get out of that. And yeah, I need to drink less too. I think I had no, I'm just kidding. I think I had one sip. I think you had one olive. And you hit
Listen,
your limit.
is there anything wrong with ordering a very expensive martini, a little bit dirty with blue
Yeah.
cheese olives, and just dipping the olives and not ever drinking the martini? I mean, why is that wrong? I mean, it seems maybe wasteful, but I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I'm not big on drinking. Again, I had one sip of mine, feeling pretty good, worked out twice,
Yeah.
feeling pretty good. You know, I need to hit it. I'll probably hit it after work, but I am
Yeah, no,
doing
no,
a
no. No, I'm not trying to cut you out. I want to elaborate on this. We had a couple of people in our community actually comment on, how good you look. And, I know you're talking a lot more about fitness and health and
yeah.
longevity. And, I think someone said, "Hey, Pat, how do you do it?" And so as someone, that maybe for our friends out there in the audience, give them the quick 60-second. How do you, Pat, someone that's made a major life change, lost 50 pounds in a year, turned to working out, better diet, better focus, supplementation, all that stuff. How do you balance that with a life as crazy as yours? Give everybody a minute, because you know what? There's probably other people out there that would love to make the change you've been able to make.
Thanks for teeing that up. And by the way, we did not script this. I didn't know Dan was going to ask
No,
me.
no,
First of
totally
all,
unscripted. I just remember the tweet. Somebody tweeted you. I think,
yeah,
one of our regular engagers, kind of said, "Hey, Pat, how do you do it?" Or guys.
yeah. So first off, real quick on the motivation, it was July 5th of last year. Had this amazing weekend on the lake with the entire family. Had a lot of Tito's. It was fun. I mean, it was just amazing. And I just felt really awful on July 5th. And I wanted to turn my health around. And, that really was the motivation. And I ended up seeing a functional medical doctor, Dr. Oob. If you're watching, he is my, I lovingly refer to him as my witch doctor. But no, it was a combination of, I think, 4 or 5 things, Dan. First of all is diet, hardcore protein, a lot of fiber. I don't track fats. I don't drink. I don't eat a lot of carbs, and I was never really a sugar guy, so that wasn't an issue. I'm taking a lot of supplements, right? A lot of supplements to help my food, help. Uh, shore up anything that I'm not eating as I start to fix my gut. Sleep, big deal. I'm religious about my sleep. I went to bed at least one night 8:30 when I was on the West Coast, which is 10:30 Central. But sleep is vital. I really don't drink anymore. I might have a few sips. I might have one, but it slows me down and it takes away from what I'm trying to do. I'm doing four times a week, 30 minutes in zone 2. And I'm probably going to try to step up VO2 max. I'm doing a little bit of weights and then really regulating my stress. I'm not a worrier, but Dan, like you, and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm on all the time. Why have one business when you can have four? And what I've really done is just take time out to do a timeout and chill and just reflect on life. So again, this is not medical advice. I'm an open book. I'll tell you exactly what my script is, what I do and what I'm taking, because I really want to help other people live longer and better lives as they get into those final 10 years. Read Outlive by Peter Attia. There's a lot of insights that I take from him, but I have a wingman, Dr. Oob, here in Austin, Texas.
No, that's awesome, Pat. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, obviously, I've been inspired by your journey. I've sort of had a pretty long and historic relationship with health. Collegiate athlete. Went from soccer player to looking like an NFL linebacker. Both lifting, but also had children, put on the weight like a lot of people did, and then have focused on being fit through my career. I've fluctuated 10 or 15 pounds. I can definitely be the leaner, abs out, abs not out, but I admire.
Listen, Dan, you're a motivator, dude. You motivated me too. I should have added that. I mean, you get up at 5 a.m. and you're working out, and that just blows my absolute mind. And
Yeah.
I,
But we
I
know
look
the
at what
diet
you
is
do.
80/20. We know it, bestie. And the thing about it is that's the part I struggle most with. I have no issue with the discipline of getting to the gym. I can supplement. I do like maybe a few too many Red Bulls. That's people always say, how do you work so much? Caffeine, lots of caffeine,
Yeah.
and motivation. But at the same time, like I said, you can lift your rear end off, but if you don't eat right, you'll never quite get right. And I think it's been incredibly impressive. Good job to you. Depending if you're in my stage of life, I'm in my early 40s. You're in your middle, later part of your 50s. And as you and I joke a lot, don't hold my inexperience against me. But at the same time, what we have to do to stay fit at 30 versus 40 versus 50. But hey, this is not a fitness podcast. But you know what? I think hopefully everybody out there appreciates a little bit getting to know us. We're episode 221, Pat. I mean, we've been doing this stuff a long time. So
I know,
as
buddy.
our audience has come to follow along, it's fun to get to know you out there. And we appreciate all you joining in, commenting, and being part of our community and vice versa. We hope you get to know us a bit. But we got a great show this week. We've been on the road. We were in Las Vegas. We saw the first ever keynote in the Sphere in Las Vegas for HPE Discover. But there's some other things. We hit Pure Storage Accelerate. We did a 6.5 event there. We were on the ground. We sat down with their CEO, Charles Giancarlo, and also a handful of their GMs. And then the market was just crazy this week, Pat. It was Juneteenth, so we had a day off in the middle of the week. But, we had a $3 trillion crossing for NVIDIA, which just absolutely owns my Twitter feed right now. There's like nothing else people are talking about. And that was furthered by a huge Dell, what was it? The Dell x.AI and Supermicro x.AI deal that's just massive. By the way, quietly, Copilots plus PCs started shipping. And I know there's been kind of like 3 milestones. We're going to talk about that this week. So we'll hit on a bunch of different things, Pat. And you and I did a ton of media. You just got off Yahoo Finance. Rumor on the street, you crushed it. And that was kind of an encore to your CNBC hit yesterday. I did CNBC over Asia. I talked to the New York Times this week. And I did an article for the Associated Press. So we were busy out there this week, back of office, advising, front of office, in the media. And hey, let's get started though, bestie. Look, HPE Discover. I mentioned the Sphere, but there was a lot going on. What is? Oh, sorry, not financial advice. People, don't do anything we say. All right, onward. HPE.
Yeah, let's dive in. So, as you would expect, the entire conference was about AI. And to be more specific, it was about private cloud AI. And you can essentially, look at enterprise AI infrastructure and services in 2 buckets, right? You have public cloud plays, and then private cloud. And private cloud can be on-prem in the enterprise data center. It can be in a colo. It can be a sovereign cloud. But essentially it is governed and managed by the enterprise itself. And it's interesting, HP was in a very difficult position as it was coming in as one of the last enterprise infrastructure companies to come in and do this, right? We saw IBM, we saw Lenovo, we saw Dell Technologies, and then all the enterprise software folks. So they had to come out bold. What they came out with was NVIDIA AI computing by HPE. And a couple key points here. First of all, very focused on integrated. It is a very integrated solution with two vendors' software. NVIDIA, that brings some of its AI enterprise software, and also HPE's, right, with AI Essentials, Data Lakehouse, and the HPE Private Cloud Control Plane. So it's literally turnkey, and the goal here is simplicity, right? And simplicity means AI time to market. And I think, Dan, some of your research has suggested that time to market is a very big deal here. The other thing, and the company talked about 3 clicks to be up and running. And I did a booth tour. I don't do a lot of those anymore, but I literally saw them start over, boot this thing up, and literally it's all there. 3 clicks, and you're there. We're going to be doing a detailed write-up on this. You can buy it on-prem or run it managed service via GreenLake. And there's 4 sizes: small, medium, large, and XL, where small is inference only, going all the way up to XL, which is inferencing plus RAG plus fine tuning. So yeah, it looked very simple. While I would have appreciated to get a pre-briefing a lot earlier to think about it, took me about 3 to 4 hours for it to really sink in how this was distinctive out there. And I will say NVIDIA AI Computing by HPE is a differentiated solution. GA is in the fall, which means they must have been working on this for a very long time. So you and I both got the chance to talk with HPE CEO Antonio Neri afterwards, and some interesting things came out. First off, they are targeting enterprise only with this, what I'll call an integrated appliance with NVIDIA, okay? Which, Antonio is very, very clear on this. Now, AMD and Intel and Red Hat and VMware and Cloudera, right, are very much also part of an experience if somebody wants to piece part this together. But clearly, he has burned the boats, and this is an NVIDIA only solution for now. And I think, what would it take for AMD and Intel to get in there and be part of this is they need to have software to be able to plug in to the stack. I hate to say it, like NVIDIA. So a couple questions, going to leave some oxygen for you. Where's the training done, right? If small to XL doesn't include any training, where is this happening? By the way, the GreenLake for LLMs has been put on the back burner. Not a lot of customers. I get it. The big action here is on inference RAG and fine tuning. What's the connective tissue to the public cloud, right? If that's where the models are being created, how do I have some interchange between the public cloud and HPE's private cloud? And the name choice was interesting. NVIDIA is the first name in this solution and not HPE. It's not HPE AI Computing with NVIDIA. It's NVIDIA AI Computing by HPE.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision, Pat. And I'm going to double click on that a bit with you because I agree. First of all, this will be a theme with me for a bit, but we are at this interesting inflection where there is no question that the front end, the CapEx, the build out of infrastructure for AI is in full effect. Where we're starting to see, I believe, is companies trying to figure out how to take the product to market and create consumption at the other end of the spectrum. Meaning, it doesn't matter how much, of course, Meta is using it for itself as a for instance, but Meta is using it for itself so that when you open up WhatsApp and you've got your little AI assistant in there, you're using it and you're increasing use, and that's driving more data, quality of advertising, that'll create revenue. So they're spinning up their own sort of vertically integrated AI experience, and they're spending a lot of money to do it, but they are also creating so much cash flow that that's the big bet they're willing to make. The hyperscalers, for instance, are building this stuff out to be able to make it consumable the way we did compute in the first era. The private cloud comes down to there's so much complexity in data and so many unknowns in data that are going to continue to create a challenge for the, for the industry to be able to implement AI. You and I talked a lot about IBM last year, and they're kind of end to end that included an AI and a data and a governance capability. Well, that type of capability is what I believe we have to bring to scale. And so HPE, basically Antonio Neri, CEO who we talked to, told us, like, look, we're only going to focus on the hundreds of thousands of enterprises that could benefit from the consumption of AI. Remember that. That was the demarcation between,
Dan, say that one more time, because I think it's super important.
So Antonio said they only want to focus on the hundreds of thousands of enterprises that could benefit from, the consumption of infrastructure and AI. And so that's where they're focused on. So these t-shirt sizes, none of their t-shirt sizes are really, when you talk about these kind of out of the box AI solutions, have anything to do with hyperscalers. Now, of course, they said for those 10, 25 companies that want to consume and buy as many GPUs as possible, they'll sell those. They'll sell supercomputers to labs that want to buy supercomputers. But they're talking about the average enterprise, hospital system, bank, university that is literally implementing their infrastructure for AI. Pat, those folks can buy off the shelf, 3 clicks, like you said, turn it on and start to make, meaningful progress in their AI journey with Greenlight. That's what they're talking about. By the way, that's what Dell's doing in its own way. That's what Lenovo's doing in its own way. You even have the, IBM I mentioned, VMware, and what they're trying to do. So this private AI thing and basically connecting this data that has to have residence on-prem, data that cannot cross borders, sovereignty. You'll hear about sovereign clouds a lot. They're trying to solve for that problem. And of course, the cloud providers are going to try to solve for that problem too. So do not mistake for a minute that the cloud is not going to try to deal. They have hybrid options and offerings. But the truth is, Pat, we've said this endlessly on this podcast, right? 70 to 75% of enterprise data lives on-prem. So these companies have a good opportunity to provoke the market with AI that can be consumed easily. And that is what I believe HPE's mission was. Kind of ending this topic because I want to keep moving, but like, the choice of leading with NVIDIA to me is interesting, but Antonio didn't mince words. They're not going to build these kind of out of the box solutions with anyone else.
Yeah.
And so I guess making your bet on HPE, we've had kind of a continuum of companies wanting to make the whole bet and companies making the minimum bet. So far, the companies that have made the biggest bet have done the best. Over the long run, though, I still believe AMD is a player. I still believe Intel was going to have a say. I was quoted, Pat, on this in my Asia CNBC segment. They started me off asking me about our friend Dan Ives, a former guest of the show. He made this kind of like, he loves to make these kind of comparatives, metaphors, right? He calls it a party. It's 9 a.m. and this party goes till 4. I jokingly said, this is Coachella. It's not even, the party hasn't even started, and this thing's going to run for multiple days. The thing is we're in the earliest innings. There's so much AI left to go. And so this is not a short play for HP. It's a long play. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Pat, we've got Apple. So, a couple months ago, one of my biggest banger tweets was kind of when I said, what the heck's going on with Vision Pro? I think Scoble piled on, and Robert Scoble's been historically a big Apple, but he kind of agreed, which was rare in, anything Apple. But basically, like it was like a week, Pat, like on everywhere you'd go, every tweet, it was some guy popping out of their cyber truck, wearing their Vision Pro, walking into Starbucks, sitting there, slurping their coffee and doing this. And the whole world was supposed to change because of Apple. And by the way, I tend to be critical of Apple, but then I always, numerically, I often tend to be wrong. Meaning I tend to have a belief that, like, how is this going to work again? But then when it actually does work, I'm like, shit, I'm wrong. But the thing is Apple has made the call to cut production or slow or stop in R&D and development of its Pro 2. Now, it's important caveat here. It's not stopping production of Vision Pro. It's stopping the production of its high-end units, the part that we've all seen and experienced so far, to focus more effort on a lower-end unit. Now, Pat, that's kind of interesting because, we basically have the continuum of XR, right? Kind of from the Meta glasses, to the and there's lower end even than that, but then all the way up to a $3,500 Vision Pro, which you have, right? And I have only used it a few times, once with you, so I don't have as much experience as you. But the use I've had with it, I felt it was heavy, it was kludgy. It kind of reminded me of the HoloLens in terms of its size and shape, which I understood in the most industrious of utilization, but never really saw the consumer application for it. It felt like the momentum wore off. It feels like it's a big commitment to carry. It's a big commitment to use. I've seen people talk about putting it on a plane, but the long and short is that, I think they sold about 180,000 on the pre-order, and then there was some sales that followed it up. But basically, the company's going to focus on a $1,500 cutback low-end unit, and that's where they're going to head with this thing. And Pat, I'm still concerned that this thing may bust, even at $1,500. I just don't know that there's enough value in it. So the long and the short is Apple over its skis on this one? Meaning, like, did it overcommit here? It's put the product out to market. Now they're kind of stuck. And should they have gone with, should they have focused on the car? They ditched the car and then they chose the Vision Pro. And the second question is, is this market, this XR market, is it just slow to mature? So I'll pause there, but it was very interesting. It only took less than really 6 months from the time it really hit the market to now for it to basically look like the bubble might be bursting on the Vision Pro.
Yeah, listen, there's been so many people trying to bang their heads against this for so long, and I think everybody collectively thought that Apple would come in and just save the day, and hey, they must have figured it out. And to give Apple some credit, they did move the ball forward in a couple areas, but no, I mean, I don't even remember the last time I used mine. Maybe I used it for the first 3 weeks, watching some videos and stuff like that. But and it was great at videos.
Weight training.
No, and some movies were amazing on it. And the visual quality was great, but even movie watching had its issues. You could see your hands if you were watching a movie in bed or something. Literally, you had to have some light on to be able to control it. So big issues. I actually like Apple abandoning the high-end Vision Pro and working on a more affordable version, but I would feel more comfortable if I felt like they had nailed the use case on the outset before they went and did that. So, but here we are. Kudos to Apple for moving the ball forward on a couple, but we'll see what happens. I mean, until I do not now in the enterprise market, I do believe we could see some pretty huge volumes if they shrank it down and made it cheaper. And I'm not even convinced you would have to make it cheaper. Just make the battery life last longer or have replaceable batteries for enterprise. But getting it to, let's say, a sunglasses plus type of format, I think would be the right thing to do.
Whoa.
Just doing my Dives Tech impersonation.
No, you look good, man. Those are a good looking pair of Maui Jims, dude. I admire how you wear those off the shelf glasses. They almost look like Cartiers when they hit your face.
Yeah.
But for a Maui Jim glass, you've found the best. So, all right, buddy, let's move on. Next event on the ground, we sprinted from the Palazzo to the Conrad because over there was pure Accelerate, Pat, and we had the chance to both sit down on the 6.5 with Charlie, this Giancarlo, CEO and chairman. We also, spent a couple of days with the broader executive team. What was your take?
Yeah, so a few overall themes here. First about, no surprise AI. And AI was really looked at 2 vectors. First of all, helping enterprise build out their AI estate and then using AI in a Copilot form in storage operations. And then there was this thing about getting more AI efficient in your operations. There was also a theme about enterprise data accessibility across all forms of data, wherever it's located. And Dan, I love hybrid multi-cloud fabrics. And not only is this a hybrid multi-cloud fabric, but it's also across different types of data. Security was a big topic, cyber resiliency, and some of the features that the company is adding to help enterprise on that. And then upping the game on storage as a service with not only extending it to GPUs, but also putting in some hardcore SLAs. So just ticking off some of the announcement, Pure Fusion, right? This is all about unifying the array, optimizing storage on the fly across multiple forms of data, and obviously in the cloud. I talked about the AI Copilot that they're putting on that to manage and protect data. And then related to Evergreen One for AI, it's essentially doing storage as a service across new types of use cases, hence enterprise AI. And that's the guarantee, as they use it, guaranteeing storage performance for GPUs across training, across inference, and also HPC. And those are three very different type of environment. And when it came to security, right, we talked about the cyber resiliency. And by the way, the thought here is, why pay the cyber resiliency players when you can get it directly integrated into your storage platform, right? Also on security, there were secure application workspaces, which essentially this is their Kubernetes play with Portworx, right?
Mm-hmm.
Securing workloads in a multi-tenancy environment. And then finally, I talked about these SLAs, as storage as a service. So service level agreements. These are guarantees. Okay, not to be confused with the Tommy Boy guarantee for brake pads here. But SLA number one, right? Enhanced cybersecurity and recovery resilience SLA. I won't go into the details. You can read about it. New security assessments out there. But no, a very interesting play. By the way, check out our video. Charlie makes some very provocative statements about his play into the hyperscalers. And of course, we get his points of view on all these announcements.
Yeah, so you hit a lot of the announcements really well, Pat, and so I won't belabor some of that. What I will say is the company continued to be very focused on its experience. The Copilot, very interesting. I see an opportunity. The best story we had, it was Sean. I don't remember his last name off the top of my head, but he was the GM of one of their business units, and he was saying to us about his, I think he's his brother-in-law or someone that's in the storage, actually works in government, I believe, in storage, and how he was asking about keeping up. And the idea of these people being able to keep up with the technology innovation that's going on so quickly, it's almost impossible. So I see that as such a great application of a Copilot to figure out how's the best way to configure, to implement, to utilize, to leverage the technology. This is a great case of fine-tuning an LLM to give and create benefit, right, for a particular use case, Pat. So the other thing I want to point out is, I started talking about the spreadsheet. I said, I think I said something when we were on with Charlie. I said, all the bean counters are going to have to start playing with their spreadsheet. But if Pure can convince one hyperscaler, not for its own internal use, but to start actually making Pure Storage part of their outbound go-to-market consumption model, Pat, that could be an incredible, one hyperscaler could be an incredible growth engine. And the way they're building, the way they're able to accomplish pricing, the way they're able to accomplish durability of their systems, and then usability of their systems and experience within their systems, And the way they're built like a layer cake, there is a real opportunity because they are so specialized and focused on pure storage that they could actually become a resell product through the hyperscale channels. That could be massive. I mean, I mean, Charlie, you could see he kind of lit up when I threw that out there. Like, start adjusting your spreadsheet, folks, because
Yeah, man, he did, and his confidence was like off the rails.
you almost wonder, like I said, he didn't say anything. This is just, you and I insinuation of what, but it's always like he's got something brewing, like.
Well, it's not always. I got to tell you though, there was extra special, and we've spent a lot of time with Charlie, and he seemed the most confident I've ever seen him.
Yeah, you can
about the future prospects and what he's doing and how his customer conversations are going.
You could definitely sense things are moving directionally well for the company. And so, you kind of hit that on all cylinders, add in the innovation you're talking about, SLAs, building in cyber resiliency, creating and fusion, Pat. The idea of being able to, work backwards compatible to make all your storage available to AI, that's red hot. That is red hot. And so if you're pure storage, you have to feel really good about it, because that's a big problem that we're trying to solve. And Pat, you got all these companies trying to solve it in the kind of these companies that are like, we're storage or we're not storage.
Data problems. And by the way, you can't solve your data problems unless you solve your storage problems too.
And so he's basically saying, look, we'll let the Databricks do the Databricks stuff. We'll, if you want to worry about data pipeline, or if it's on-prem, it can be like a Cloudera, or it could, it can be a MongoDB, whoever they are from the data. But he's basically saying, we'll give you the data prep and readiness, and we'll make it backward compatible so you can make all your data available without all the complexity of creating data lakes.
Yeah.
And that's like, dude, I mean, look, we've been dealing with this for years. Let's get all the data in one place. Like, did they just crack the code? Did they just solve the problem? I mean, it's a really good question. All right, we got to keep moving on here, but good one from Pure. Very positive event for them. Pat, the 3 trillion. I mean, dude, you've been on every channel on every network in the last.
Stop it, Dan. You're the king of broadcast. Get out of here. I think you did like 6 of these, and you
had a killer.
The entire last weekend, pontificating on X on what's going to happen. But it has been pretty amazing. I mean, in 1 week, 3 people have had the top spot.
Yeah, and it's created a lot of buzz and interest in the market. And so we've been brought in. I talked to the New York Times, I talked to the Associated Press, I talked to CNBC in Asia. You did CNBC in the US. You did Yahoo Finance, and basically we asked the same question by everybody. Yeah. And it's the same thing. And like I said, there's so much interest in this. So I'm going to just give my quick breakdown, because I don't think this is a topic we need to spend a ton of time. There's a lot of our commentary already on the record here about this particular topic, Pat. But here it is. NVIDIA is not on top because of its sales of GPUs. Just be very clear about that. And the reason there are investors that are confident, and the reason that the analysts keep raising the price targets, is because of what they've been able to accomplish from a full stack standpoint, and then from a partnership standpoint. They basically built from top to bottom the entire AI layer, and then they've made every single hyperscaler and OEM bet the farm on NVIDIA. And so if you look at how Intel gained market share early on with the CPU and the data center, it was saturation. And at the point after, even when Intel started to see more competition and see more flaws in what it was doing, it still took years and years and years to shed market.
Yeah.
So if you look at NVIDIA, and first of all, you cannot assume they're gonna botch execution at some point. You have to assume they've executed well. They've got a yearly cadence. They're continuing to innovate. They're building libraries. They're building partnerships. They're building new capabilities like NIMs, right? Which is part of solving that private AI thing. That makes it more durable. Where I'm concerned, Pat, is the saturation they have with a small number of customers is incredible. I mean, it's so dense with like their 5 biggest customers. I do think like AMD and what they've built with ROCm, the abstraction layers up with PyTorch, JAX, that you can do more development up there. I think some of the enterprise capabilities that we're seeing from companies like IBM and Red Hat to be able to do private AI and deploy it in containers using other hardware create some risk. I think pricing power, for NVIDIA's valuation to stick, they have to keep this pricing power and keep growing at this rate without much disruption. So it is possible, though. And that's the thing, is like when people say, is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Are they number one? Pat, here's what I'm going to say. If I had to order these 3 companies, I put Microsoft at 1. It's just so diversified between its consumer, its Copilot Plus, its Azure AI, its relationship with OpenAI, the software SaaS layer that they have, platform layers, Windows, the stickiness of the mass market and the devices, and then the productivity tools is just so big. Company's so well run. Apple, I think, obviously is where, I said something like Jensen will create AI and then Apple will make it consumable. What do I mean by that? The most basic consumption of AI in the apps will happen on people's iPhones all day long. And I think that is enough to keep Apple up there on top. But we just talked about the Vision Pro pad. I think Apple's become a bit boring. They've lost their market and innovation leadership, but they know how to make money. Tim Cook knows how to make money. And you know what? In the market, that is really, really important. So if I had to order them 1, 2, 3 right now, Microsoft 1, NVIDIA 2, Apple 3. But having said that, NVIDIA has, I think, the biggest risk with how fast it has ascended of having a just as quick descent, not back to 1 trillion or anything, but I could see it, if the conditions or competition starts to rise, I could see it, back in the 2 or 2.5 in a short order, because like I said, the density and concentration risks there are so different than the other two.
Yeah, real quick, I'm going to give NVIDIA opportunities to grow and then some risks here. So first and foremost, you're going to see a lot. Well, let me give you precursors of what I'm looking for.
Please.
So in any, like we saw with the .com boom and bust, there's the build out and then there's the downstream profitability that companies are making off of all that infrastructure build, right? And when you saw a lot of the .coms not making money, going out of business, now there was a lot of bad VC money going out to these startups, but it was an absolute bust. And Cisco at the time was the builder of internet, and they were the NVIDIA of the age. I think the canary in the coal mine are the enterprise software companies, the SAPs, the ServiceNow, the Adobes, the Salesforces. That's one. If they can't make incremental profit dollars on this thing collapses on itself.
I love that you're saying this, Steve.
No, I appreciate that. And then there's the consumer version of that, which are the Googles and the Apples. And then finally, you have the enterprises that develop their own applications on these, and they're trying to drive incremental profit dollars off that. If those don't all come together, they don't all 3 have to hit, but 2 out of 3 have to hit. This thing is going to fall right on its face. So those are the things to look for. Now, NVIDIA still has a lot of opportunity for growth, and the biggest area is enterprise, right? Exactly what we've been talking about with HPE, with Dell, with Lenovo, with Pure Storage. This is the untapped infrastructure opportunity right now. Now, I do think we've got pretty much a guaranteed 6 to 9 months of infrastructure growth, even on the public cloud side. So, that the risk that you're looking at is in, looking at the next 12 months. Now, with that said, reality and perception could be very different things. If NVIDIA stubs its toe somewhere in the perception, then all bets are off. AMD and Intel are very much competitive factors in the public cloud, not so much in private cloud acceleration. Now, software is going to be everything. We haven't even seen Intel's enterprise AI GPU. That's not going to be out until probably late 2025.
Yeah, I'd love the analysis there, Pat. I've probably put 4 or 5 long-winded tweets for all 5 of my viewers. I don't
know. We have 3,300 concurrent X viewers right now. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Sup, X? Appreciate all you tuning in. But no, in all serious, I've just been belaboring consumption layer. I keep talking about the consumption layer, layer. Like, who's using this? Like, I get it. CoWoS, Pat, I said that this morning. I'm like, CoWoS is sold out through 26. 3 nanometers sold out through 26. Apple, Qualcomm, NVIDIA, AMD, they are absolutely going to make as many AI chips as can be made right now. They're going to get sold into these hyperscale data centers. But who is consuming it? And by the way, who makes money? Who else makes money? And that's the question mark we got to answer. All right, we got 10 minutes left. I don't want to have to shortchange any of these great topics, Pat. Our friend Michael Dell put out a tweet that got like 700 million views, but it got a lot. And he basically announced that they are partnering with x.AI on this mega deal, Pat.
Yeah, it took a while to piece it together, but I do kind of love this new way of getting information out, because most of the data or the information came out from Elon responding to people's tweets, and Michael with this initial tweet. Here's what I think we've been able to piece together. Yeah, Dell's responsible for half. I don't of those racks. I don't think Supermicro has confirmed it or denied it, but it looks like it's them, and obviously NVIDIA for the GPUs. Now, there is this notion that this will be the largest GPU cluster in existence. I think 100,000 GPUs. I thought there were ones that were as large as that, but maybe that's not true. And as we've heard from Broadcom and NVIDIA and Marvell, they're talking about 1 million GPU or 1 million ASIC or accelerator cluster. So financially, right? And sometimes, people are just making this up, but it passes my smell test. About $1 million per AI server rack. With 100,000 NVIDIA GPUs, around $3 billion. Supposed to be online. Going to take a long time. Operational by fall of 2025. I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Why would you be shipping racks? I don't think it takes, unlike high performance computing in a national labs, I don't think you're dealing with proprietary stuff like a slingshot interconnect that you have to figure out. But net, congratulations to Dell. Congratulations, Michael. You guys are crushing it. One thing I did want to point out is that the x.AI deal was reflected in Dell's AI server backlog reported in Q1. This wasn't some slip that the company made getting this out there. So great job.
Yeah, so our friend Ed Ludlow from Bloomberg shared something from the Bloomberg intelligence team that I think is worth noting. They modeled the Dell Supermicro x.AI deal for what it could be worth. And so he shared it, but he basically said if the deal for Grok 3, they estimate there's 100,000 H100 requirement per the comments Musk made, right? Assuming you price each server rack at $1 million a piece, total value of the deal would be about $3 billion. So $1.5 billion to Dell, $1.5 billion to SMIC, 36 GPU per rack, 2,700 racks, $2.7 billion. So that was the numbers Bloomberg Intelligence came up with in a short. It was in a tweet. I'll try to drop it in the show notes, but we'll have to do our own modeling, Pat. But look, I mean, a huge win. Just what a huge win. And this, by the way, is why the OEMs are going all in with NVIDIA. Because this is the deal that only NVIDIA can get, and they're able to be, again, they all have to add their own value, but they're being carried along by this. This is a absolute tailwind for so many different companies, and the amount of demand it's creating is basically making at least that kind of first wave, within the first orbit of NVIDIA, those companies are benefiting. None are making profits like NVIDIA, but they are benefiting from a revenue standpoint, and by the way, it's not just about revenue here, Pat. When you actually are in a inflection in a market like we're in right now, it's also about relevancy into the next, into the next era. These companies cannot create a perception like they're being left behind, and so they have to be seen as relevant here. And so, Pat, your great analysis on your end. Let's move on to the next topic. Pat, our president of Signal 65, our one of the two babies that we've had together. We're just kidding, people.
We ever talked about the third? So, by the way, we've got 65 Media, we have Signal 65 Labs, and we have Signal 65 Economics.
Yeah. Yep. Two babies. One has already had its own baby. But the bottom line is that, Ryan Shrout, Signal 65 president, was out at a Best Buy taking pictures, checking out the store displays. But the Copilot Plus PCs were front and center in Best Buys around America this week. And what I heard, Pat, was the early data, the whispers are volume was good. There was a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement. We may have bought a few hundred of them at the Signal 65 for our labs, but strong demand, strong display, strong interest. You saw Satya tweeting about it and Pavan tweeting about it. You saw Cristiano Amon tweeting about it. And this is that first wave. Now, of course, like I said, there's, the debates about Intel and Meteor Lake and it being an AI PC, but this is the Copilot Plus PC, the certified edition. This was the moment it came into market, Pat. Big thing. There's been kind of 3 waves of announcements here. So I'm kind of, it was important, but tempered in that way, because like we had the Microsoft Build moment, and then we had the Computex moment, and then now we had the actual go live moment. I always kind of joke, Pat, that like when you would acquire a company, and I've done a little bit of that over the last few years, you only get to announce it once. So you either announce the deal is struck or you announce the deal is closed, but you can't really announce both. But this is such an exciting moment. They've actually managed to announce it 3 times. And so we are in a new era. This is, by the way, when Pat and I have been talking about the consumption layer, this is one of those key consumption layers. Not just selling the PCs, but what people are going to do with these LLMs on devices, the apps they're going to be able to buy, whether it's Adobe subscriptions that are going to work better, whether it's enterprise tools, whether it's improving our social media or video consumption experiences. This is where money gets made in those second, third, and fourth layers of AI beyond the core infrastructure that NVIDIA is creating. So this is a really cool moment. So we're going to get a wave of revenue streams for companies that are 1 and 2 tiers removed, the OEMs, the ODMs, the builders, the creators of PCs and devices. And now we're going to start to see the ISVs and the app builders for both consumers and enterprises and small businesses starting to be able to capitalize on more AI compute power sitting on the device. So it's not all in the data center. And so a big moment, Pat. It's exciting. I look forward to kind of seeing the numbers beyond the kind of first day to see, because this is also, Pat, the difference of, is this a Vision Pro Plus, Vision Pro moment?
Got 2 minutes, buddy.
Vision Pro moment, or is it, I'm on the way out, I'm turning it over to you, or is this the beginning of a wave of really big numbers? I think it's the latter.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm going to read a text that I got from an unnamed source related to Surface sales. Some retail saying it's their biggest PC pre-order ever, higher than any Mac release ever. So yeah, there are definitely some volumes here. So 7 folks shipped. You had Microsoft with Surface, Asus, Dell, HP, Lenovo, Acer, Samsung. Shame on you, Asus, for breaking the embargo and shipping your units out earlier than you were supposed to. I'm glad to say that the early reviews are looking great. First of all, let's pat Ryan in the back. Review tests are showing how accurate the Signal 65 testing was. And you're seeing a 50 to 60% multi-threaded CPU advantage over Apple. Sure, lowers in single core. I'm sure there's some value in single core, but not a ton. The ridiculous battery life, it's ridiculous, like 25 hours. Some people just, leaving it at home. And I know we've heard that every single year for the past 10 years, but it's true this time. Software compatibility, I need to do a double click on that. There were some, you knew any driver related stuff like some outdated Kaspersky, which by the way is being banned here in North America. But stuff like games.
I spoke with him. I was on stage with Kaspersky right after at CeBIT.
Interesting.
I just thought that was cool. I mean, I don't know if you.
Yeah, what? No, for sure. So final comments here. Sorry, Dan, just trying to work this in before my next meeting. Kudos to Qualcomm and Microsoft. Herculean effort. 3 to 4 years you have to place these bets, but you stuck the landing. Now, I am selfishly disappointed by Recall being pulled back. I'm not convinced it's insecure. I feel like the company overreacted. Get it into Windows Insider now.
Great take, Pat. And yeah, I agree. That was one of the main features, and now people aren't going to get it straight away. needs to happen. But Pat, great first few days, and thanks for sharing that little insider bit. I'd love to get into your text messages for like 10 minutes just to see all the goodness in there. But that's why you watch our show, because we synthesize that goodness, because we are lucky enough to have the opportunities to talk to some really, really interesting people every single week. But Pat, a great show, great conversation.
Great show,
Always
man.
a ton of fun. It was great to be back on the road with you. I think we have a couple weeks off. We may run into each other in New York for just a minute, but we'll be back on next week, Friday, regular show, same time, same place. So thank you to all 3,000 plus of you that have tuned in to watch our show this week. We appreciate the community. Hit that subscribe button. Join us for all of the episodes here of the 6-5. But Patrick, it's time to go. Say goodbye. Yell at us more on Twitter. That's what we like. We'll see you all soon.